So I think before we move forward, I'll share a little bit about what happened yesterday. And so, because I think that it's a good, I want to share this specifically because I think it's a good indicator of like how you can reflect on how not to do NVC, which is use need-based language in a violent way, right? And so it started the night before. I went to both of my children, who are 10 and 13, and I said, in the morning, I'd like for you to put away the clean dishes and wash the few dishes that are in the sink. And I walked away and had the immediate thought, like, they're not going to do that. And yet it was almost like, I'll just keep going. So then I went, to bed. I got up, I started working early yesterday and was working with not much break until about 1 p.m. And I came out and I noticed the dishes were still there. And I had this burst of like righteous anger around it. And went to my kids, and my daughter is a fairly early riser and also fairly alert. She's my 10-year-old. And I was like, do you remember what I asked you to do in the morning? It's now 1, and I would like for you to go and do that now. And she was like, okay. And she went into the kitchen. And then I went to my 13-year-old son's bedroom, where at 1 p.m. he was very asleep. And I said, hey, wake up. Okay, he sat up. I said, you remember the thing I asked for you to get done this morning? Well, now it's 1 p.m. and I would really like for it to be done now. And he said, huh? And I said, do you remember the thing that I asked you to do this morning? And it's 1 p.m. now, so I would like for you to go do it. And he looked at me and he said, huh? And I said, just go follow your sister. She already knows what to do. Huh? Y'all, I lost my patience. I lost it. And I am proud that I didn't shift into yelling, like verbal yelling, but I did was like, go in there with your sister. Your sister will tell you what to do. I cannot say it again. Go, 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 right? Got him into the kitchen. Things got completed. But before I exited the scene, I threw up my hand and I said, it'd be really great if I mattered around here. Needs-based language, right? Nonviolent, right? No, ma'am. That's not how this works. And so the dishes got done. I did a little bit of work. I circled back with my kids, and my son had a very sad look on his face. And I said, are you okay? And he was like, I said, are you sad? And he was like, it upset me when you yelled at me earlier. And then I went into explaining, well, I didn't yell at you because I was proud that I didn't yell, right? I didn't yell at you. I just really got frustrated because I had to say things over and over. So I went straight into other conversational responses with him instead of hearing him. And the kicker here is that I know that I deeply matter to my son. There is no question to me that my son loves me deeply and that I matter so much to him. But I set up this entire scenario from the get, the night before. I set my children up to enact this psychodrama where I could prove to myself I didn't matter because that's my wound. And I brought them into it. And he could feel it. He he didn't have the words to say exactly what he felt, but he could say it felt like yelling to me. And I think I'm at this point, having gone back to him yesterday evening and said, hey, I know I matter to you. And it wasn't fair for me to make the dishes or your sleepiness about whether or not I mattered, because I know I matter to you. Okay. So at this point, I think that I'm celebrating a ton of clarity and awareness around how my wounds drive patterns in my home, and how I know how to set up the players to prove to myself that my wounds are true, and how needs-based language is not always nonviolent. And I think I celebrate the integrity I have in my own self-reflection and my own accountability here. I celebrate mattering in my home and to my children. And I celebrate humor and shared reality, because when I describe trying to wake up a 13-year-old boy, I see a lot of people going, and I don't know. I'm just inspired to share that, because I think that it covers so many levels of how you can know so much and do it so poorly and still come out ahead when you know the truth about needs, how they show up, wounds, and how they show up. And I think I invite each of you to look at that need sheet and figure out which needs you really struggle with, and figure out what ways you play act to prove to yourself that those needs aren't met, rather than actually looking at the truth of what's in front of you. Because I think we all do that in some ways.